Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the February 3rd Town Council meeting. If you please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, we're going to move into public comment. This portion of the meeting is specifically set aside for comments from the public who are asked to limit their comments to 2 minutes. Any person interested in providing public comments via email should email publicmeetings@rockyhillct.gov prior to 4 p.m. on the day of the meeting to have their public comment read into the record. And we have public comment.
Good evening. My name is Joe Coelho,
And just your address, Mr. Coelho.
560 Old Main Street in Rocky Hill.
Thank you.
On January of last year, 2024, I submitted to the town my resignation from the Zoning Board of Appeals effective February 1st. I was elected to that board in 1969 and served for 55 years, probably more than any elected official or employee of the town. I've gotten 2 thank yous, one from Kim Rickey, our town planner, and one from Michelle Zach, the chairman of the Zoning Board of Appeals. I've never got any recognition from the town of Rocky Hill. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to appointments and resignations.
None here as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
With that, Madam Mayor, I'd like to make an amendment to our agenda this evening. Item 8, under new business 8, it would be item A. It would be a presentation and update from the Commission on Inclusion and Innovation.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, moving on to the approval of the minutes, Town Council meeting January 21st, 2025.
I'll make a motion to approve said minutes.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Abstain.
Thank you. Moving on to subcommittee reports, Finance.
Finance has not met since our last Town Council meeting. We are scheduled to meet a week from Thursday.
Okay. Government Operations.
Government Operations did not have a scheduled meeting since last Town Council meeting. We are scheduled to meet 2 weeks from tomorrow.
Okay. Public Safety.
We haven't met since 2 weeks ago when we met and we presented the report. So next meeting is 2 weeks from today on Monday. Thank you. Tuesday. Sorry about that.
Senior Liaison.
Yeah, Senior Liaison did not have a meeting after consulting with town staff. We had canceled our January 27th meeting after the update we received from the town manager last council meeting.
Land Acquisition and Farmland Preservation.
We have not met in January. We are planning to meet February 25th.
Liaison to the State Rep and the State Senator.
I did not get any updates from either our state representative or our state senator.
We're doing good. Capital Improvements Committee.
School liaison.
Oh, sorry, School Liaison.
Yeah, I do have the report. Can we put up the presentation, please?
For once, I'm happy that the slide is coming down.
That's why you skipped over me. Now I know. Just caught it in time. Excuse me for my voice tonight. First of all, I'll try to stay close to the mic so they can hear me. Just wanted to give a little bit of a debrief on the presentations that were made at the Board of Ed on the 28th, and then the subsequent Thursday after that. The budget was presented by Dr. Zito to the board, and he was generous to me and shared his presentation with me, and I'm going to share a few slides from that presentation. Of course, he's going to be here at the council going in detail on all the line items and the nuts and bolts of the budget, but What I'll do here is I picked like a few slides to go through to just get this council prepped on what is coming there. So moving on to the next slide. Here is the headline number, which is an increase of $2.6 million, which is a 4.87% increase over the prior year, which brings the budget up to 56 million and change from 53 million and change last year. Moving on to the next slide. Most of the budget, as we have known over the past several years, if you have been on this council or have been paying attention to the budget overall, to the town portion, as well as the school portion of it, most of this, these budget items fall into the biggest pieces of the budget fall into the category of salaries and benefits, right? No surprise there, 82%. It's all talent, essentially, which we need to run our schools. And salaries are a big part of that, actually, and then the benefits, obviously, the 15%. So 67 and 15, that brings us up to 82%, and then rest of it, you can, if you're looking at the screen, you can do the math. Moving on to the next slide, let's break this number down, which is the 4.87%, where it's coming from. And I think this is a really good way to look at the budget number from the board. And we have done similar things last year on the town side. This is very helpful to most of the members here and to the public. If you break this 4.87 down, like I said, what you will see is most of the increase is coming from the salaries, right? Not a surprise again. If you did nothing, right, we had nothing else going on, no hiring, no tech spend, we'll end up at 3% essentially. That's just the regular order of things, right? The salaries that have been negotiated. Now, the benefits portion is the 1.21%, which is an estimate at this point. Again, if you've been on this council or have been paying attention in the public, this number is always a little bit uncertain until the end of spring probably, where they will know exactly what that increase is. And Dr. Zito mentioned in his presentation that they are thinking of an 8.25% increase on the health benefit side, which drives that 1.21% number. So all in all, salaries and benefits, that's your 4.26% increase out of the 4.87. Next slide, please. Thank you. Where do we stand on the annual enrollment? This is a favorite question for my colleague here, Dave Savini, and the enrollment numbers are pretty stable, have been since last couple of years, but what that means is there is no decline in enrollment, right? There's not a substantial increase, but there is no decline. So overall, as characterized by Dr. Zito, the enrollment is pretty stable. Now, moving on to the next slide, talking about challenges. One challenge that I would underline here, listening to Dr. Zito, this has been a theme again for a few years now. We have an increasing number of identified special education and English learners in the school system, and that is always a little bit of a driver in these numbers, overall numbers. Now, I'm not going to go through a lot of detail here because I think he will do the necessary, dissection of those numbers when he's at the council. But what I'll like to emphasize is that this area of spending is not decreasing this year, right? If you were expecting that, or you were you're hoping that it will remain flat, right? So if you move on to the next slide, this is thank you. If you look at the next slide, this will tell you exactly like what that increase looks like in the last 13 years, and that's an 80% increase, and it's not flattening out anytime soon. If you look at those numbers, that trend. So just a little bit of like a high level on that. Again, Dr. Zito is going to talk about that. I always like to end on good news. The good news here is if you move to the next slide, we are 17th in spending on a per student basis in our peer group, which is the DRGD. That's what the technical name of that peer group is. And if you move to the next slide, please, we are number one is K through 12 numbers in math. And if you move to the next slide, in ELA. So that's pretty good in terms of where we stand in terms of academic performance vis-a-vis the spend. Again, we can all do better on the spend side. If you ask anybody in this room, they will say they would like to do better on our spend those dollars wisely. But I think from a perspective of performance versus spend, I think we are just doing fine. So that concludes my report, and I'm looking forward to hosting the Board of Ed members as well as Dr. Zito here in a few weeks, I guess. Thank you.
CIP? That's usually Alan. So we will skip that one. And Economic Development Subcommittee, again, no meeting. Moving on to consent agenda, we have none. Old business, none. And now we will take up our new business, which is a presentation from the Commission on Inclusion and Innovation. And we also have something for them.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I don't know if I have to, but Tom Kosker, 52 Tall Pines Lane, just to be safe. Chair of the Commission on Inclusion and Innovation.
Megan O'Brien McNamara, 515 Old Main Street, and I'm the Vice Chair of the Commission on Inclusion and Innovation.
All right, thanks so much for having us, Madam Mayor and Town Councilors. We appreciate it. So I've got copies in front of you guys of this. Some of this is stuff we've talked about a little bit in the past, but we haven't been in front of you for quite some time, so we wanted to just give you some updates as to where we stand and what we've been working on. So if you can flip to the next slide. So kind of the work we've been doing, as we've said in the past, is this is not just a group of residents on this Commission on Inclusion that are making decisions and trying to figure out the direction of our town when it comes to inclusion. It is informed by a lot of information and data that we collect. As you can see, research from commissioners, we did work with, and at the time when they were a little bit more active, Sustainable Rocky Hill Advisory Committee, community members. We've had surveys that have gone out and gotten information from the survey from community members. We've had them come in and comment at our public meetings. Again, there was some comments on a petition for a Pride Crosswalk that we included, as well as public comment when we presented that to you all in the past. We've had a number of committee discussions with committee meetings, subcommittee meetings, where we've invited public to come and have members of the public come. We had a full commission meeting last May, and then, of course, we get some emails periodically as well. So we've tried to gather as much input as we can, and we continue to do so. Our survey is still up and running, although we haven't been getting much love on that lately, but we continue to put that out there to try to get more input from the community. Next slide. So just a couple key terms, just so that we're all on the same page. So when we talk about diversity in our community, diversity includes, again, but it's not limited to, because diversity can be looked at in a lot of ways, race, ethnicity, culture, ability, economic standing, religion, gender, LGBTQ+, and there are many other facets, religious, et cetera, et cetera. So there are many aspects of diversity that we're looking at when we look at this from our eyes of inclusion in our commission. We'll also talk about, you'll see in the next slide in a minute, but divisive behavior Again, these, just to kind of define it a little bit, and this is not like some formal definition, but includes, but it's not limited to, discrimination, prejudice, racism, bigotry, misogyny, ableism, xenophobia, anti-Semitism, anti-Muslimism, et cetera. So there's lots of things that can fall under that kind of category of divisive behavior. Next slide. So this is the town unity statement that you all adopted on behalf of the town of Rocky Hill, which we greatly appreciate. You did this past fall on November 18th. So I'm just going to read it for everyone to see. So Rocky Hill for all, the town of Rocky Hill fosters a community culture that values unity and fairness over divisiveness and injustice, cultivates, supports, and celebrates diversity, prioritizes equity and acceptance, and proactively seeks opportunities to be inclusive and welcoming. We commit to reflect on our past, progress over time, and position Rocky Hill to create a future with an equitable quality of life for all. So thank you for adopting that. We really greatly appreciate that. Next slide. So we as the commission have put forth our own commitments. Now these are nothing that you guys adopted or anything specifically. These are our commitments as a commission that we voted on and we've adopted. So I won't read the whole thing through. You have it in front of you, but I'll just bring a couple of highlights. Going down to the bullet points is enable, empower, and include all. So there's a lot of meaning to all of these phrases, but, enabling others, empowering others to be part of the conversation, to step to the table, to be involved in our community, listen, bring visibility and voice to different experiences and perspectives. These are all things that we are committing to do as a commission. Create opportunities for dialogue, connection, and understanding. And actually, I'll have Megan jump in a little bit with some of the pieces that we are doing to reach these commitments, right? So these are kind of like, sometimes it feels like words are just words, right? Like a statement, a unity statement is just words, these commitments, but we are following these things through with actions that we're actually doing and things that we're planning and work that we're doing. But promoting events and activities in town, supporting ideas to help our town be inclusive. So these are kind of our commitments. One of our thoughts you'll see in a little bit is as different parts of Rocky Hill, whether it be different commissions, different committees, different groups, departments within the town of Rocky Hill, can do similar things, right? Can create their own set of commitments that are tailored to what they do, right? Whether it's Parks and Recs or Human Services or et cetera, they might all have different, well, they all obviously have different roles in our town. So they can kind of look at and we just tried to model what a series of commitments would look like from our perspective. Next slide. And I think I'll turn this one over to Megan.
Sure. Thanks, Tom. So some of the actions and activities that deliver on these commitments include hosting and participating in community conversations. So as an example, last year in 2024, we participated in the community market and had tables where we were an active participant and pursued conversation with community members and then also promoted events and activities. We hosted our own Unity event in September. And this year in 2025, we're looking to connect the disparate parts of the town, so different civil organizations, so our town library, Health and Human Services, and some of the activities that they promote. So connect, really work with them to help them be more successful and then promote to community members that we're also connected with. The intent being things like Diwali or other events where we have an active community. We're also helping to promote Juneteenth or other inclusive diversity celebrations and events. So we'll have a more wholesome engagement from our community directly. We want to bring visibility to community organizations, so like the two that I mentioned, but also other grassroots organizations we have within the town. So create a calendar that we're helping to showcase events and really make connections for more people to participate and better visibility for those grassroots organizations that are showcasing our diversity and celebrating in inclusive ways. We want to create visibility to observances, community events, and celebrations, like we mentioned Diwali, Juneteenth, Pride, as a few examples there, and be a point of contact and sounding board for opportunities and recommendations to the council and with the council. So we're also an opportunity to have conversations about inclusive inclusion, about diversity, and, vet ideas or feedback that you're hearing from the community and are looking to figure out. We all know some of these conversations can be very sticky, and we want to be a sounding board for you as well as our community members.
Awesome, thank you, Megan. Just go back one second to that slide. So as part of this, we're kind of trying to build a calendar of events. And again, these aren't necessarily calendar events like, hey, Rocky Hill is hosting all of these. They're just inclusion events in Rocky Hill, right? They might be town-hosted events. They might be commission-hosted events. They may be just community organization events, right? The Historical Society, we've recently connected with them as well. So there's different groups. Again, some towns, some local churches, local civic organizations who hold events, do activities. There was one last year, and I connected with the gentleman, and I forget his name, but he did a loneliness event. Lisa remembers the Light the Night, yeah, and they had the lights up all around here, and it was connecting seniors, but in a different way. He was really trying to connect seniors. There's this loneliness epidemic with seniors, with folks of all ages, right? So kind of like a whole broad spectrum of age groups, connecting them in this activity. And it was really cool. My son kind of was participating in it, and it was really cool. And they did those little lanterns that they light up and stuff like that. So that's just as a way of another example on things that are happening in our community to include everyone, right? So in this case, it was just connecting folks with different ages. And we're like, wow, that's really cool. We can connect with them. And again, not that we're going to be a big role in that, but we can connect with some of the other folks that we already are connected with and kind of cross-collaborate together. So that's kind of our goal this year, is to really get better at that, is connecting all the different things happening. And we're going to miss some. And we invite, whoever's listening and hearing this tonight to reach out to us and let us know of events that you might be holding and hosting in town. We'd be happy to connect with you on those. So that's just to give you a kind of a flavor of that piece that we're looking at. So it's kind of like building this calendar of events, as well as building the connections and contacts, so that we as a commissioners can reach out and stay connected with the different members in all these different groups. And some things go smoother, right? Some groups have a little more juice behind them, right? And a little more energy behind them. And some kind of fall by the wayside a little bit year to year, right? So hopefully we can help kind of keep those things going, some of those events that have been kind of in fits and starts, some of these inclusive type events. So next slide, and I think this is our last one. I had the printed version, and then I forgot that I'll have it sitting right in front of me on the slideshow. So these are some thoughts, again, for you all to think about, and these are things that we've presented to you in the past, but I just bring them up again for your consideration and thought and discussion. Again, we are an advisory commission to you all, so our job is to bring things to you for your consideration, so that's what we're doing. So acknowledge and respond to divisive incidents in our community. And also I want to mention, as we bring these things to you, we're not in any way saying that you are or are not doing any of these things now already, right? So we acknowledge that many of the things on here we already do as a community in some fashion, maybe some better than others, and that's great, and we appreciate that. But these are things that we've heard and gathered information on and are important to our community members. So that's kind of why we're bringing it up. So I want to importantly point that out. So there's no indication like, hey, this is not happening now. That's not the case at all. Proactively develop policies that allow for a visual expression of inclusion. Again, as way of an example, the Pride Crosswalk, which started off as that, and now you've adopted a policy around public art, and again, you guys will have the words better for it exactly than what it got adopted as, but there's this means of the public now, petitioning maybe is not the right word, but requesting that public art get placed, and there's a policy now in place for that, which is great. So now, as the town wants to have a visual expression of their diversity and inclusion, they can pursue that, right? And there's a process in place to pursue that. So we appreciate that work that you guys did. I know that was a bunch of work last summer on that. Request that all commissions identify and adopt commitments that foster equity in our municipal processes, decisions, and as an outcome. So again, we gave you our kind of commitments as way of an example. It might be shorter, it might be simpler, it might be different. It will be different for each commission, but just for everyone to consider these things as they go about and do their work. Apply an equity perspective to all decision-making, including the municipal budget. implement proactive recruiting initiatives to increase the diversity of town commissions. I know that's something that you guys have talked about, a fair amount this actually past year on trying to do that and engage more community members that aren't always at the table, which our commission is an example of, right? Because most of the commissioners on our commission are not kind of folks that have been on many, many commissions over the years. Most of us are new to this gig in the last few years. So that's all I have. That's all we have. Megan, before I open up to questions, do you have anything to add? Or? Okay, so please, love to hear any questions you guys have or thoughts or concerns about our presentation.
I got a
Please.
couple questions. Yeah,
Commissioner Mayor.
thanks, Tom. Thanks, Megan. It was terrific. Just a couple of questions. On a national level, the majority in Washington seem to be attacking diversity and everything related to it. Does what's going on nationally give you, on a local level, a little more energy to fulfill this quest? And to ensure that everything included in here is communicated and adhered to?
Yeah, I think so. It's actually interesting, and we haven't talked about that as a commission, to be honest. We've addressed it briefly, but haven't had a conversation about it. I think it does. I mean, it does to me personally. I can speak personally. It does. Give me a little more juice and a little more incentive to keep this front of mind. I think you all pay attention, watch the news, and even on a local level, in a state level, there are places in the state that might feel differently than Rocky Hill, right? And that don't seem, in terms of what the news says, as welcoming as Rocky Hill. We do want to make sure that Rocky Hill continues to be a welcoming community. And during these challenging times for many, yes, I think it gives me a little more energy, and I think it gives our commissioners a little more energy to make sure that we keep this front of folks' mind, that we are a welcoming community and all are welcome here.
Right, okay, good. Second question is educating kind of like the next generation on all this and maintaining that continuum. And I think back, of what the Yard Goats do, or the Wolf Pack, when they tailor it towards kids. Have you thought about having, like, Rocky Hill Student Council at the high school come in and sit with the commission to get educated so that they could bring it back to the school and educate their peers on diversity and inclusion and what it means and what not to, what to kind of strike down when they see it and things like that? And hopefully that will continue on as they grow up to the next generation and just keep on going.
Yeah, thank you. It's a great question, and we have sort of done that. We've had some connection with the schools. We have worked a bit with, again, she's no longer with the district because she retired, but the former assistant superintendent of curriculum had kind of worked with us on a few things. We also had Beck Markowitz was one of our commissioners until her term expired. Now she's in college and she's sort of busy with that. We do need to your point, probably go back and recruit. It would be really nice for us to constantly have a presence of a high school student. I say high school, but youth on the commission. And Beck was a great conduit and great connection to that high school community, to the school community. So I think we can do better. We haven't done a great job. We've had some commissioners, again, we've had a little bit of turnover. Megan's been with us about a year, and a few of our other commissioners have been with us about a year. I'm the only one left from our original group, which is intentional, right? There's an intentional kind of turnover of commissions that's supposed to happen, and that's good to get fresh ideas and stuff in. So we need to get that kind of back. Actually, one of our former commissioners, Kevin Tuttle, was really trying to push for us to connect with the schools. It just takes that work to do, so we just have to get the folks to do the reaching out. And as you all know, I'm on the Board of Education as well, so I have that connection, of course, to the school side. But I appreciate it, and I'll take it as almost a bit of advice to connect with them, so I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Can I add
Please.
to that? Yeah. I think there's an opportunity with inroads with the school. I think because the school has an infrastructure with clubs and programs. I have a daughter who graduated from Rocky Hill High School and a son who's a senior now. And there are diversity, what you might call diversity programs in some of their clubs already with Girl Up. They have an LGBTQ club. And then there is a Holy event that's hosted through the arts teacher. So Mrs. Schneider hosts that, but it's through, I believe it's the Art Honor Society or one of the art clubs that host that at the high school. And we're looking for more inroads there because arguably those children can teach us too. I think, and that's part of what we really want to grow in building those connections. So we love your connections, your network, your support, and your ideas like that to help us be a stronger commission and make those connections within the community. So thank you for the idea too.
Thank you.
And some of those things can help to our calendar too. Like we see the whole event. It's funny, we didn't mention that one, but that is one we've been talking about. They've reached out to us. I know Eileen Schneider quite well, and she's reached out to us to connect in the past on those things, so appreciate that. Amy?
Yeah, I like the idea of the events calendar, but the Nielsen ratings for people watching council meetings is probably pretty low.
Yeah.
So not everybody's going to hear your.
Yeah, we'll get it out there in our ways.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what are your plans to get it out to the entire community? Just not only, groups, clubs or whatever that are going on in the county, but just the public in general may have an idea of observance or presentation. So how are you going to get it out there?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. I don't have a good answer for you, honestly.
Something
But
we need
yeah,
to
no,
work
it's something that we continue to work on, And again, I think part of it is those connections with the other organizations. So one, connecting with the schools. It's tough because the schools is such a nice way to get, again, a segment, I grant you, of the population of folks who have school-age children. But there's a large list, right? A large email list. You can get connected with folks and get it in front of eyeballs. Parks and Rec, and each group that we work with, and we've talked to Missy at Human Services, and they have their own separate sort of list and connection. So, and the organizations, as we connect with some of the churches, we get our stuff in front of them. They distribute it to their group, right? That really has been working to some extent. So that's one of the ways that we've been doing it. Not with a tremendous amount of success. Again, I know no one watches this stuff, or not many folks watch this stuff. The same thing, I'm on the Board of Ed, no one watches those meetings. Yeah, right. But no, though, that's a good question, something that we do need to continue to work on. Again, love your ideas if you have them. Yeah, please.
So my regular job, I'm in corporate communications, so I have a background in communications, and while I work in corporate communications and primarily focus internally, we use a lot of similar channels that people use externally, so like social media as an example. So we have social channels with the town forums is a big part, and then to Tom's point, once we have sort of a base of connection, so part of building this is building not only a calendar, but also who our critical partners are, what their emails are, and then leveraging their networks to help promote and really advertise the events and activities so we can come together that way. So we're looking to build it that way, so it's a little more, quote unquote, viral, and really using our neighbors and friends for that kind of access. But we need the calendar and the connections first, and then we'll mature and build that over time. But we'll use things like Rocky Hill Life and other, promotional opportunities so we're really hitting lots of different audiences. And, we've got the school, potentially we have the school system, but also we want to hit the seniors in town too, because we want to have this be an inclusive opportunity, not only the light the night, but have seniors at the Diwali event. So more advertising with our senior center, community center. And as we can connect more with more of our town partners, they'll have the ideas, and this is how they communicate with the population that they represent. So we'll hopefully propagate from there. But we're not going to have the answer tomorrow, but something that we expect to build over time. And the work that we're doing, we're really intending to make a foundation and make it evergreen and part of how we function as a community, and really making inclusive community for the town of Rocky Hill.
And you make me think I got to reach out to Mark at Rocky Hill Life, because I haven't talked to him in a while. So we got to reach out to him if he's watching. You're going to get an email from me to connect.
Doing it something like this at the senior center? I mean, I can, talk to Gina or something, 'cause I think that would be great.
Yeah, those are the
People that are
connections that we're
members, yeah.
slowly building over time.
Seniors
Yeah,
and little kids, and
yeah.
that would be a really neat event.
Thank you, Amy.
I want to thank you for the time and the effort you're putting in to help the community. I did, since you were here for the beginning of the town council meeting, you saw Punkach's report on where we ranked, school system-wise.
Yeah.
How do we rank diversity-wise? Is there a ranking?
Yeah, that's a good question. Not that I'm aware of. As far as diversity efforts, I'm not sure. Look, Mayor
Not
Murata's
just
nodding
efforts,
her head.
I
Yeah.
mean, even the demographics.
There
Oh,
is
the
there's a huge
the
report.
demographics, there's definitely
Yeah,
information
and
on
there's a
that.
huge report that comes out every year, one that comes out for aging and one that comes out with respect to diversity. And so I
Through CCROG, is that for the one through the state, for the,
Data
oh, Data Haven, the Data Haven ones.
Thank you. Yeah, Data Haven. Uh-huh.
I would think we fare fairly well on that as well, but I would be interested to know that.
Yeah, there are a lot of grant programs now, federal and state, that require towns to utilize that type of mapping system. They have it mapped in different neighborhoods and different areas.
And we have used Data Haven, thank you for reminding us, Dana. Dana hooked us up with Data Haven information, which gives a lot of good demographics on, again, race, ethnicity, religion, all those different demographics of our population. And yeah, I mean, so here's the other piece of it too, right? We may rank high in terms of diversity in some ways, right? Non-white population, we have a large non-white population, not nearly as high as some of the urban centers, of course, as you can imagine. But only two really, right, main racial groups in Rocky Hill, right? Asian and white, right? So there's a lot of other groups that we don't have a lot of. And that's okay. We're not saying that we have to like change the demographics of Rocky Hill. We're saying embrace who's here, right? Include all who's here. Even some of the smaller groups that you don't hear from a lot and see a lot as we roam around town. Right? I'm involved in a lot in our town, and I've been involved for a number of years. And there's certain segments of the population you just don't see, right? And that's, can we do better, right? Can we do better on that, and bringing them to the table, bringing them to our events and things like that. And that's where some of these, as Megan mentioned, kind of crossing kind of, right? There's events that the Indian population really goes to, and you go to, and like, there's like 3 or 4 white people at those events, and it's a lot of Indian people, and that's cool. Can we get more white people to those events? Can we get more Indians to our other events? I mean, that's just an example, right? Like how we can really get more included, right? But I appreciate it, and I think.
No, I just didn't know if it was part of your goal setting.
Yes, we're not measuring things
No,
per se. We're using some of the data, we're using some of the data to inform our work, certainly. But that's a great question.
Add to that too. So one of the groups that we want to be connected with is the Sustainable Rocky Hill, and help them be really informed by the work that they're doing for the different certifications or levels. So there's silver, gold, bronze, I think, certifications for. I clearly don't know much about it at this point, but we're planning to connect with them and learn more about that as a system of measurement, and where we can really help enable the work that they're doing from an inclusion perspective. Sure. And the unity statement counts on the list of things to do for them as well.
Yes, it did.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah,
questions?
I'm gonna circle back to the calendar because I really like that idea. What I like to see is, I don't know if you have any like next steps on that, but I would love to see a very concrete next step, maybe something like Ray and his staff can help you put that calendar together, and you can identify stakeholders in that calendar so that when we get to these events, that you will have a list of stakeholders that you want to reach out to. And using that bigger list, maybe you can prioritize that calendar based on like what kind of participation you need from those stakeholders and if they're willing to participate. Because in prior years, we have had some challenges, as you know, in getting that participation close to the events, because it was and for good reason, difficult planning something within 4 weeks, right? So I would really encourage you guys to work with the town and come up with that bigger list first, identify the stakeholders, and then go from there and prioritize whatever we want to do, like 6 things.
We appreciate that.
Just- yeah,
You must have been
suggestion.
listening to our meetings. You must have been
I
spying in on our
always
meetings.
tell my son, you should do your best every single time because you don't know who's listening.
Yeah, exactly.
And
So-
I should follow that.
Yeah,
So.
no, so, and my point, yes, that's a great suggestion, and we appreciate it, and it's kind of what we're moving towards, right? Like, event, and we started off with actually, and Commissioner Tuttle, who's since resigned from the commission, but he had this like, all right, let's just fill each quarter. Like, let's not get crazy, let's not get ahead of ourselves, right? We don't need to, like, do too much. Every quarter, we need to have some event, and then it's like, okay, now monthly, well, okay. So can we build to this point where we have kind of like a calendar filled out with things going on in our community that are inclusive type events that covers the whole year? And you could do it pretty quick and easy, actually, once you start really, brainstorming and thinking about it and reaching out to folks. But with each of those, it's, who's the contact? Who's the small group even? Because sometimes that one person, that doesn't work because that person leaves or just gets tired and we're all exhausted and volunteers and doing a million things. So, but yes, and our goal is to have a commissioner on our end kind of as a liaison in some way to each of those, right? So each of the events will have, this is our goal, see how this works, connecting the dots with those folks and reaching out and, maybe not being part of the official planning of it, maybe being part of the official planning in some cases, because we have our one event that we host, but yeah, so I appreciate it. That's great stuff. Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments, questions?
Yeah, I was taking a lot of notes. I'm super excited. I want to thank you both for being here. And I'm very much impressed by the fact that, I don't want to say that you took a step back, or that you realigned your priorities, right? But I really like this new grassroots approach, because in the very beginning, when we put the commission together, right, a few years ago, we knew that it was going to be grassroots. And then we went through the formal training and, we did stuff, right? But I mean, it was, we did the survey, but now we're bringing it back to like meeting the people. So I love that, because I love how you're building that scaffolding. And I'm going to piggyback on what these folks said about the calendar and all of that. I think at some point this is great material for the municipal app, right? Because once you pull it all together, that's really going to be a great touch point for you, right? Because I don't know that many people go onto the website. And I don't know how often, you're going to be going to different departments saying, hey, could you put this up? Can you do that? But once you get your calendar ready, maybe we can create a space within our municipal app that is unique to this kind of stuff, because I think it's great that you're giving people a voice. And if they see it, they'll be like, wow, I want to be part of that, right? Let's see what else.
And I
Yeah.
I'd like to add to that too. So you asked the question about what's happening in the nation and in this kind of reinvigorating this work or energizing this work. I think it also gives people a place to come together. So what's happening in the nation is there's a lot of divisiveness and a lot of angst and anxiety and anger, and what we really just want to build community and, again, inclusion. So the For All, the unity statement, truly is about bringing our community together despite all of what's happening kind of around us, and building a stronger Rocky Hill.
The other thing I wanted to just mention is I didn't realize that Kevin Tuttle left, although I do have a list of vacancies. So I'm,
Just recently, just the end of the year.
okay. So where do you stand with membership?
So currently we have 6 commissioners out of 7, so we have 1 vacancy.
Okay, is it an alternate?
No, we have 1 full commission vacancy as well as 2 alternates that are
Vacant.
vacant. Correct. So we had,
With him leaving?
our full slate would be 7 full commissioners with plus 2 alternates, making that 9.
Gotcha.
That's what we started with. And then due to turnover and recruiting and
Yeah.
all that. So some stay the full term, it's a 3-year term. So some stay the full term and some have other obligations. It's volunteer, so some people leave for different reasons, and someone moved out west. I can't remember where she moved. She moved
Yeah.
out somewhere. But yeah, so we certainly stand at 6.
Good, okay. Well, and speaking of membership issues, and you brought up Sustainable Rocky Hill, so I'm glad that you did that, because they have not met in, I think, a year, right? And much of that is just due to scheduling conflicts. So we sort of reevaluated that. And the next meeting, we're going to have someone from Sustainable CT come in, and so let's start over, right? Because it's a new group, and we had a fantastic initial group that was really understood, you know, the action plans and the action items, right? There was a leader who got all of that. So we're going to, I think we'll just take a step back, sort of review, and we're going to do the same thing, I think, is, at least it will be my suggestion. I don't know if they want to do this, because we had charged them with like 3 particular activities. But I think we really have to even go back to like the very basics, right? So we're going to put together a list of things that we've done, like the equity statement, and give it to them and have them go through the book. It literally is this massive book, right? And figure out where do things fall and where are we? And that would be great for you to be involved in those meetings, because at some point they will turn into planning meetings, right? Because I think we actually missed the opportunity to get the silver award, but we're perfectly qualified for the silver award, right? So, yeah, so thank you for that. And I don't know what day they meet on, but
They did
we'll-
meet
yeah.
last week.
yeah, but we'll figure it out. So,
Yeah, we're connected
be
with a
for-
few of the folks that are
yeah,
part of that now, so.
okay.
Yeah.
So we'll figure that out and we'll, yeah, pull you into that.
Love it.
Okay. All right, and so now we're just gonna, we have a little something for you.
Oh, a gift.
The
Oh, wow,
formal statement.
a gift. Oh, this is fancy.
Yeah.
It's no official proclamation. I know mayors love proclamations. Those are like, isn't that like a thing, right? When you go to mayor school, you have to learn how to do proclamations or something, right?
So this is our official unity statement, which you already read, but we're very, very proud of it, and we're very proud of your input. And so on behalf of the town of Rocky Hill, thank you, Mr. Koska.
Thank you very much.
And thank you, Megan, and thank you to all of your members.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you all. And you know, it's funny, at first I didn't realize it was like posted in the community center. And then Mayor Murata said one day, hey, yes, once we adopted it, it got posted. I was like, all right, I knew it got adopted in November. I didn't know it got posted. So thank you guys for the opportunity. And anytime reach out, of course, we're here for you guys as a resource as well. So thank you very much. And we look forward to giving you an update sometime again soon.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Excuse me, Madam Mayor,
Yes.
should we advertise for the 3 openings that they have?
Yes.
Okay.
How do we do that?
We'll figure that out.
Through Dana. We'll do it through Dana.
We did it before because Pankaj and
Yeah.
I did the selection, but I know they, or maybe, did it go through Dana?
I think it does.
I think
Yeah,
it went through
yeah.
Dana.
But
Okay.
we'll get that going.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, let's move on to the mayor's report. Speaking of diversity, we had an incredible Autism Speaks event a couple weeks ago. We had a organization called the Focus Center for Autism, and there was a dinner and an incredible panel of speakers, and we heard from folks firsthand who have autism, what their days are like, what their work is like, what life was like as a kid. It was very eye-opening. It was a great audience. We hope to grow that each year and have it bigger and bigger so more folks from the community come. It was truly eye-opening for me because I never have an opportunity to hear from adults what it was like when they were a kid. So it was a very good experience. I want to thank all of the sponsors for that. The Connecticut DVA hosted its Hall of Fame, Veterans Hall of Fame. There were 14 inductees this year, 2 of which were women. So again, a little bit of diversity there. Kelson Rowe actually held something called Winter Glow for some folks to go in. The town manager and I went, and we got to tour the clubhouse, which was really, really high tech and really lots of amenities. And I spoke with the developer today. There are 70 units fully leased at the moment, so they're making progress. Still looking at different commercial tenants. There are plenty that are interested. I think they're really just trying to vet and bring in the best possible tenants there. CROG, which is an organization that we belong to, has been very busy with its legislative policy things. And so this is a time of year where every organization, CCM, COST, and CROG, are sending us a bazillion legislative recommendations. And so we pay attention to those and we kind of pull what's important to us out of that. I think last year, Ray, you may have shared some of those. Yeah. The
Reshare them? the
No,
new
no.
ones? Okay.
The Conference of Small Towns had its annual meeting, and that gives municipal officials the opportunity to hear from the governor, legislative leaders, the state's constitutional officers, and state agency heads about issues and challenges that affect small communities like ours. The town manager and I had an opportunity to go there. I actually picked Sean Scanlon's brain a little bit, who is the comptroller, about lowering the fiscal guardrails like we hear a lot of lawmakers want to do, because that's pretty worrisome. And we also had the opportunity to pick Martin Heff's brain, because Ray and I sat with him and we had him all to ourselves, and he's the undersecretary for OPM. So we were getting his opinions on how he used to run his town. I think he was a first selectman, and you know, his budget process, and now what he does up at the state. So we got some good tips from him. The members at COST, we vote on legislative and regulatory priorities for the upcoming year. Remember that 2/12, so February 12th, is going to be the Rocky Hill Inclusivity Family Engagement Night. So this is a free opportunity for families that have youth with autism spectrum disorder and or intellectual development disabilities. There's going to be all kinds of art and creative spaces for the kiddos. I think there might be pizza too, or something to eat. The Harlem Wizards are coming back to Rocky Hill on March 21st. You can get your tickets now. You can check out the Rocky Hill Education Foundation on social media. And they have this amazing halftime raffle that you do not want to miss. Our town hall report is a monthly report that will now be available in the Rocky Hill Life. Our first report is in this edition. You can find that on the website, or you can actually read it in your paper that comes to your house. And so it's just a very condensed version of what the town manager and I report on in a given month. And then a couple more things. Your You Rock Award nominations are due on Valentine's Day, the 14th, because on the 18th, we will do our You Rock Awards here. We already have several nominations, so I'm really excited about that. On the 27th of this month, from 8:30 to 9:30 a.m., will be our second annual State of the Town. Representative Wood and I have been organizing that, and the town manager will have a slew of special guests, and we'll have some presentations, and it's always a very interesting event. And then finally, I had the opportunity to attend CROG's Vision Zero workshop. So the Vision Zero is aimed at eliminating roadway deaths and injuries. And as you can imagine, we had conversations about what's going on the highway, specifically our stretch of the highway, what goes on the Silestine Highway, and just around other towns. So fortunately, DOT is making a number of new improvements to all 169 municipalities. All kinds of things from upgrades that should have a positive impact, and local leaders get together and sort of talk about what else can we do to improve safety in these high-traffic, high-speed areas. And I'm just going to go through. I think that's it. That's it.
Just to jump on the Vision Zero, and this is posted on our website, DOT will be replacing and upgrading the signalization along the Silas Deane Highway from Parsonage up to Jordan Lane in Weathersfield. And they've already started that, so there'll be various lane closures up and down the Silas Deane Highway until they're finished. And also, I think the grant that we're sharing with Weathersfield to upgrade and make the highway more pedestrian-friendly will help go towards that Vision Zero vision, so to speak. Hopefully in the future, once that planning document is finished, there'll be a phase 2 for actual projects, grants for projects. Our part of it is from Parsonage north to Town Line Road, focusing on the exit ramp 24 and under the bridge. People walk through that area constantly who live in the apartments or Marshall Road area to get to Walmart and Wooden Tap and on the border and other places over that area. And it's very dangerous. You can see the walking paths they have underneath the bridge abutments. Jump on the Valentine's Day. I don't know if you saw all this on the website or not, or social media. Rocky Hill Youth and Senior Services are holding what they call February Kindness Challenge for the month of February. And I don't have a color photo, but it's a beautiful photo of Maisie. You all know the chocolate lab that's a resident down in the Social Services Department, Human Services Department, I should say. Throughout the month of February, our Human Services staff, will be giving shout-outs for random acts of kindness. You can tag them on Facebook or Instagram to let them know what you've done, and they will post it, post a heart outside of Town Hall with your name and the act of kindness that you did. They'll also be doing what they call a Maisie's scavenger hunt for any dogs or dog lover friends. So check that out. It should be quite fun. What else? A couple of more things. We will be starting department head meetings for the budget process next week, scheduling meetings to go over the rules and regulations of budget making this year. Some things have changed, as we all know. We plan on having our town assessor come before the finance committee, the next finance committee, to go over the grand list, and shortly thereafter to the town council for a presentation, annual presentation on the grand list. Again, you'll see some challenges in that presentation with some changes in state statutes affecting our revenue. The Housing Authority Small Cities Grant Project, we have bids came in. We received 4 bidders today. The project cost ranges from $3.88 million up to $4.72 million. I believe they have a $4 million grant. The grant consultant will be reviewing the bids and categorizing and ranking all of them. There were a few alternates included in the bid, so they'll have to sort that out before they make their decision. And as we were speaking about sustainability credits for silver a little while ago, I've counted, I was going through in my mind what departments have done, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and soon to be 10 actions that would probably count for silver certification, all done in 24 and soon to be 25. So we'll have to, I'll get that information out to Jason, who's staff to the committee. That's all I have.
Retroactively, we can get the silver?
Well, that's what I wanted, that's why I'm concerned about the dates, because these activities kind of expire, but these are very recent, so these should be,
Okay.
they should be, hopefully they should be good. then hopefully they can cross categories, so we do get all the points in a different category. That concludes my report.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?